How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm starting a new, hopefully weekly-ish series where I just go over 5 things that have caught my eye in the league or that I'm thinking about that I don't necessarily want to make a whole video on at this point. Very much inspired by like Zach Taylor's 5 things type articles. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about 5 random little snippets from around the league. The first week of ball, very small sample sizes, so always keep that in mind if I'm getting a little too crazy. But like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Hope you've been enjoying the NBA content. And we're starting with Tre Mann, who has looked awesome as a kind of secondary guard creator next to LaMelo Ball. He was huge down the stretch in this Rockets win, creating a three-pointer, stepping back against Jalen Green right there. Really, really nice play there by Mann. And here he's able to get a switch onto Dylan Brooks, of all people. And Tre is able to create one-on-one, beautiful little floats in that shot. I believe he jumps off of his right foot. Yeah, looks like he jumps off the wrong foot there to throw off the timing of Jabari's contest right there. I don't love how hard Tre has to work to get his shots sometimes. Mann isn't the quickest or most athletic guy, but because of his handle and how like relatively tall he is for a point guard, he can kind of get away with it to some extent at least. And obviously an excellent pull-up shooter. Good job using the rescreen from Richards to just get Bam to back up, hit that pretty little pull-up jumper. And I like what Charles Lee is doing on offense this year. I really can't lie. Defensively, I think the guys have been playing pretty hard, and offensively, I really like this play. Just kind of screen up here for Seth Curry. They then go into Tre Mann, Seth Curry ball screens, which Curry ghosts, and that has the effect, right? Both Tre and Reese Share don't want to leave Seth. Miscommunication. Tre takes advantage and pulls the three. So it's Tre creating on his own, but also Charles Lee making Tre's life easier. Again, a play like this where he's running this little two-man. I mean, that is not an easy finish. Don't get me wrong. And Tre is like, Mann's finishing has not been good so far, but look at this really good job backdoor cutting off of Richards. Look how well spaced the floor is here, and just that's just Tre going over a great contest, honestly, by Jalen Johnson, and just finishing that somehow, because the finishing has not been good so far. Like, he will get swallowed up and kind of overwhelmed in the paint just because he's not very large and doesn't have great vertical pop or anything. And his passing's been pretty solid. Hasn't done a ton of it, but like simple little pick and roll lob there. He's mostly a scorer at this point. But yeah, Tre's numbers definitely do reflect this improvement, right? Obviously on a per possession basis, he's like killing it. But look at the usage, 26.6 usage rate, enormous jump from anything you've seen in the past. And he's handling it relatively well. His efficiency is going to be like right around league average, a little below league average. He's at 55 true shooting. League right now is at 570. Obviously super small sample size stats, but we can see Tre is not shooting well from inside the restricted area, but from that floater range, he's been awesome. And of course, he's drilling his threes. Tre's been awesome this year, and he's honestly kind of been defending in the games that I've seen. Like, good job working against Rozier, getting a good contest off. Charles Lee, man, I saw LaMelo make some nice defensive plays, especially in that early Rockets game. Like, Tre here is going to play the low man position really well and get the steal against Onyeka. Mann has been so awesome to watch, and even if he's not the most efficient guy in the world, he's just really damn fun to watch. He plays hard. Oh my god, ridiculous block there from Tre Mann. Like, who is that? Is that Dennis Smith Jr.? No, that's Tre Mann, and oh boy, he's been fun. Maybe I'll do a full video on him like as a prospect at one point, because he's one of my favorite like underrated guards in the league, and he's been super fun to watch so far. And let's get on to the second thing, which is there is a new lob city, and that is Salt Lake City. Is there's no team in the NBA that gets half-court lobs the same way that Utah does. Will Hardy's obviously a really great offensive coach. His offensive design is stellar, and they do a lot of funky stuff with these like top key spaced floor, almost set plays where Keontae is like playing the quarterback role here. Marcus Smart is top locking Lowry because he doesn't want him to come around a screen and shoot, so Lowry simply freelance cuts back. Perfect pass by Keontae, and Lowry's able to slam that pass home. And again, we see here Collins setting a flare screen, but since Zach Edey isn't very quick, Lowry can just slip right behind him, get that lob, and dunk over Ja Morant, who tries to rotate. Ja's been playing defense this year, by the way. Just wanted y'all to know that. But on that play, of course, and again, Marcus Smart going to top lock Markin and not let him come around this pin down. That's what Ja is saying too, right? But Markkanen gets him, and again, Edey isn't quick enough there to rotate over and protect the rim. So good at creating these half-court lobs, and they're just really good at generating these like easy dunks at times. I think they got like destroyed in this game. I actually haven't watched this game, but the other game especially. And Utah's able to like have this space floor, use their freaking Drew Eubanks passers as cutters, and that's kind of what you have. Like, they do a really good job of throwing out a lot of athletes and getting the most out of them. I feel like they run almost like a football offense, and I mean that in a good way. Like, a lot of route type plays where guys are moving off the ball. I bet they run like more off ball screens than almost any team in the league, and I really like the way they manufacture easy buckets in the half court right here. This was a cool tactic early in this Memphis game where they play Walker Kessler on the perimeter a lot despite him being a non-shooter. The Grizzlies have Edey roam off of him because they don't think Kessler's going to shoot, but Kessler's going to 45 cut right behind Edey and exploit him that way. So the Jazz are really creative about exploiting matchups in space, and of course they have the creators to occasionally create these half-court dunks via pick and roll lobs and that kind of good stuff. And the Jazz are like one of my favorite fun bad teams. Like, the Jazz are not a good basketball team, but man, they are a fun basketball team, and it's because they just run really cool plays, really cool unique X's and O's. Again, we have like a double staggered pin down here for Laurie, a lot of this side pin down stuff to the middle to get this offense going. But yeah, I just really enjoy watching the Jazz offense. They're a fun group. I love this play. One last one here. This dead corner is something that a ton of NBA teams are doing right now. Actually, I don't know about a ton. The Lakers, I know, have been doing this, but it's a really good play, right? You're expecting maybe an action with these two players, right? Either a flare screen out here or some kind of twirl screen, but nope. Markkanen skips into the corner. Keontae rolls off. Everyone's a little behind, and they drill the three. So Utah Jazz offense, absolutely awesome. And the third one is, are the Nuggets kind of cooked? And watching these early Nuggets losses, it's kind of remarkable how little they respect the non-Jokic guys, even Murray to some extent. But Westbrook and Saric have been pretty disastrous. Like, teams, as usual, don't give a shit about Westbrook shooting. They will just leave him wide open, and of course he's going to shoot them a lot of the time, and that's going to create major spacing problems. Unfortunately, Peyton Watson, kind of the same way, right? Just not the shooter at this point he needs to be to draw help and to draw closeouts. This team just doesn't have very many ways to pressure a defense, right? And when you can't shoot, when you're playing multiple players that you can't shoot, I question some of the rotations here from Malone, which we'll get to, but it's so easy for a team like the Thunder. It's like, yeah, we're just going to send two guys at Murray because we don't think anybody else on this team can beat them. And most of the time, they're going to be right. So this Nuggets bench and rotation is really, really not great. And I think I posted this Chet clip in my Chet video, but this time I want to really focus on the spacing here. Gordon, Watson, and Westbrook all on the same floor is not a good decision. All five Thunder guys in the paint. The spacing there is just kind of inexcusable, and it really does make Jokic have to play hero ball in a way that he can do. We saw him drop 40 against the Clippers, but it's not ideal. And with Westbrook cutting in here and Gordon not staying into the corner, kind of trying to cut in late, there's already space clogged here. It's just not a conducive environment for Jokic to play at his best and for Jokic to pass like he wants to. So he's going to have to take over as a scorer in a lot of these games. And it's not like the defense is really scaring anyone. They're a really small, kind of short team. Gordon is their only prayer defending the rim right now. And even when he's not out on the floor, it's pretty brutal. Like, Saric has been really rough. They tried switching him a bit against the Clippers, which wasn't very good. Like, so easy. Yes, I know this is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but you can just see how little resistance he provides at this point in drop. And hey, this is the Nuggets competition. This is who the Nuggets are going to have to beat in the playoffs. Potentially the Clippers and, very, very, very more likely the Thunder. And yeah, it's just not great. Of course, Jokic is still Jokic, and he's still doing his thing as a scorer. And I anticipate we're going to see a lot of Jokic 40 balls this season if the Nuggets want any chance to be serious in the West, because their bench, very not serious. Anyways, yeah, not great. Let's talk about our fourth thing, which is Malik Beasley. Pretty impressive. I have never been a huge Malik Beasley guy, but I think he is playing in a better role now as like a true scoring two, where most of the time Beasley, like in Milwaukee especially, played as like a true wing, really defending up at times and not getting as many ball handling reps, of course, but he's kind of been given a green light, and he's making teams pay. Like, he's killing it from the 3-point line, obviously, to start, but my favorite thing really is just how he fits in with the flow of the offense and how he provides a release valve for Cade and Ivy, who have such a crazy creation burden on this team right now. But when you have guys like Malik who can take advantage of a bad closeout, sidestep for three, and knock that down, it's going to make life easier for the guys who are dribbling the ball for a majority of time. And I think this like light creation Malik can do, of course, as a movement shooter here, this is kind of like a freelance action, it almost seems. Not even sure, or maybe this was like more flow of offense and principle stuff. But anyways, Beasley flowing into a movement three, like he's always been one of the better movement shooters in the league, right? So he's been kind of taking huge advantage of that. And I've liked how they've used Beasley as a screener at times. And of course, he ends up getting into the three right here. But we can see them trying this like two-man tight pistol action where Beasley like was initially going to try to get a screen from Cade, and then they're just playing dribble handoff action. So nice for the Pistons to have an option, right? Like when the Cade dribble handoff gets blown up, it's like, oh, our possession isn't dead. We have someone else who can actually hit a shot off the dribble or have some offensive juice or do something with the ball, right? And that's been, even though the Pistons are 0-3, like I find myself fairly feeling okay about the Pistons. Again, another just like little pull-up mid-range for Beasley. They really don't like, they look pretty solid to good in all these games against Eastern Conference playoff teams. 3 of the 4 semifinal teams from last year, their 3 losses, they almost beat the Celtics. Like, I would feel okay as a Pistons fan, and Beasley's play is certainly part of why. Like, just this shot-making juice has been really valuable. The fact that he can get the offense out of a bind if he really needs to, help Cade and help Ivy, just lessen some of that extreme burden. And you see the kind of spacing that this portends to, right? Like Pritchard just way in the far corner. Even with Stewart on the floor, the spacing is so much better, and it's more than enough for Cade to go to work and do his thing that he's been doing this season. Again, on this play with Ivy, you have Malik in the strong corner right here. Pritchard maybe would like to dig down and try to give Cornette some help because Ivy is just barreling at the rim towards him, but he can't because Malik is a sharpshooter. So the Malik effect, you see it in the box score, you see it on plays where he doesn't affect the box score. He's been pretty impressive. Defense is, sometimes optional with him, but Malik has been really solid. And talking about defense not optional, the Los Angeles Clippers, who small sample size, top 3 defense in the league, and play-by-play PPP stats shot quality metric, which is just expected effective field goal percentage. The Clippers are a top 12 team, again, sample size, etc. But man, this team is fun to watch defend, and it all starts to me with Derek Jones Jr., one of their additions this summer, who is just a sick wing defender, very versatile, can chase Devin Booker around screens like this, get skinny, stay attached, get back in front, and contest Booker into a miss. Jones's agility combined with the ridiculous vertical explosion that he's known for makes him a crazy on-ball defender at times. And Zubac has had a great season. Obviously, he's scoring a shitload of points, but again, we see Jones navigating the screen, maintaining pressure. Norman Powell's defending. He digs in right here to make Murray pick up the ball, and Zoo finishes off the play. It's a real team effort, and you can see the expected shot quality thing, right? Like, the Clippers are just not letting teams being Nuggets and the Warriors, and I think the Suns, right, get good, high-quality shots, right? They're forcing a lot of difficult shots with their pressure and with the kind of players. And Chris Dunn, arguably maybe even their second best defender through these kind of, I think, first 3 games. Awesome job by Derek Jones fighting over the screen. Dunn digs, kind of bait Curry right here, steals that pass with his length. Like, that was just a beautiful play by Chris Dunn, fooling one of the greatest of all time, taking it the other way, and one super impressive win, by the way, back-to-back Clippers right here. And even when they make the Clippers uncomfortable on the defensive end, right? You don't want Zubac switched out on the Steph Curry deep on the perimeter, but look at how they rotate. Of course, Steph gets by here. Powell steps up. I believe that's Dunn, right? Stepping up right in the middle of that floor. A little like weirdness here with the Peyton like intercepting this. I don't know what the spacing is here, but Jones is swarming. Chris Dunn jumps the pass again. Like, it's a really connected, like, energetic unit. They're really fun to watch. I really enjoy watching this Clippers team fly around. And look at Chris Dunn, man, guarding Kevin Durant. You can see the length on display, poking the ball out forcing a turnover. Like, this is really, really impressive stuff right here. Another great screen navigation moment here from Derek Jones, who's just all over Steph Curry. Like, Steph can quote unquote struggle, Steph voice, right? With these like really rangy wings who can navigate screens. And there's not very many of these guys in the league. It's like Jared Vanderbilt, Jaden McDaniels, but Jones is certainly one of them. And the way he's able to apply pressure with his length while keeping his like balance and his movement and all of that stuff. And yes, like the Clippers are going to give up some shots because of Zubats in drop, right? Like, they're just going to be vulnerable, especially when teams can put guys like Powell or Harden in pick and roll instead of Jones and Dunn, or even Amir Coffey, right? There's going to be vulnerabilities, but the Clippers are more than okay with these like lower percentage mid-range shot, right? When they're taking away the rim really well, they're not really getting 3-point shot on a ton. And yeah, I had to end this video off with a James Harden steal. You know, he kind of gets a pass for defensive intensity considering the like hilarious offensive load he's carrying. This is probably not a sustainable formula, but it's a fun one for the moment, right? Just like prime Harden Helio ball when he's 7 years older, and a bunch of like gritty, fun defensive wings. It's an interesting strategy, and it makes the Clippers a more interesting watch than I previously would have expected without Kawhi. But anyways, this is 5 things that I noticed this week. Let me know what you think about these things, and if there's anything else that really caught your eye that you think is worthy of a video topic.